Dear sisters, peace be with you. In this particular session, I want to speak about the prophetic vow for poverty. You must have heard always vow of poverty, but I say prophetic vow for poverty. It's actually dealing with voluntary poverty. Prophetic living of the vow to be voluntarily poor. It's a culture. It's a culture to be voluntarily poor for a religious. A religious is the one who likes to be voluntarily poor so that others may become rich. So in one of the novels on St. Francis of Assisi by Kazantzakis, there's a particular place where St. Francis exclaims with joy. He says, "What freedom we have," Francis says, joyfully, he said, "what freedom we have. We are the freest men in the world because we are the poorest people." Poverty, simplicity, and freedom are all identical. Dear sisters, remember this. Voluntary poverty, voluntary simplicity, and freedom, they are all identical. If you want to enjoy freedom, choose to be poor. Choose to be voluntarily simple. You will cherish the maximum enjoyment. Francis once tells to his brother Elias, he was supposed to be the general after Francis, and during the deathbed, he is asking Elias to continue. He is telling Francis in that same novel, he says, "The wolf has entered our fold while I sit outside the portiuncula and like a chained dog and bark." This is very important because we saw that Francis, the portiuncula in Assisi, and the portiuncula is made for people who are voluntarily poor, who believe in equality, fraternity, kindness, generosity. But what has happened? Gradually, many brothers entered inside who believed in money, who believed in power. Therefore, this particular mindset of Francis to Elias telling, "The wolf has entered our fold, while I means Francis, is sitting outside the portiuncula like a chained dog and bark." So he is like a chained dog, cannot even come nearby. Somebody else running the show. This is the pitiable situation that Francis felt when he wanted to follow the gospel poverty. His followers came and twisted the many things. Poverty against solidarity with the poor. Francis telling to Brother Leo when he wanted to make a fire to warm, he says, because it's a very shivering cold, and the Brother Leo is telling, "Why don't you make little hearth, some fire, so that you'll be a little better." At that time, Francis telling, "Go, Brother Leo, go throughout the world, and if you find a fire in every hut, every poor cottage, then come back and light one in my hearth. If even a single man in the world is shivering, I must shiver with him." This is solidarity. My voluntary poverty is in itself a solidarity with the people who are oppressed poor, who are forced to poverty. I am voluntarily poor. This has got a lot of significance for people who are oppressed by poverty. This is very important for us to listen to what Gandhi speaks about God and money. You cannot serve God and mammon both. I have always felt that when a religious organization has more money than it requires, it is in the peril of losing its faith in God and pinning its faith on money. The fact is, the moment financial stability is assured, spiritual bankruptcy is also assured. M.K. Gandhi. Remember, sisters, the fact is, the moment financial stability is assured, spiritual bankruptcy also assured, because I don't need God anymore. I don't depend on God anymore. I don't need God. I can manage by myself. Financially, I'm stable. My province is stable. My community is stable. My life is stable. Then why do you need God? Why do you need the providence of God? Very pitiable situation. Most of the religious congregations are fighting dioceses, religious congregation, provinces. Their only focus is financial stability, financial security. Very, very questionable situation. Money-centered life is the end of God-centered focus and the beginning of spiritual emptiness and the end of socio-pastoral commitment. If I am not poor, if I got enough, I don't need anybody. I don't need to care for anybody. I don't need the pain of what is being poor. More than the sexual scandals of church men, the scandal of the church affluence has affected the gospel witness of the church at large. Funding agencies from different parts of the world have funded the church in India for the sake of the poor. But still, our people remain poor. Who has taken this money now? Where the money has gone? Only those people who have taken the vow of poverty, swindling the money. Very painful situation. Jesus hardly speaks about the sin against the body. You'll come across in the Bible, not much is spoken against the sin against the body, but instead he speaks elaborately about the evil of riches. The parables like the rich fool, Luke 12:13, the parable of the rich young man, Luke 18:18, the parable of the Lazarus and the rich man, Luke chapter 16 and 19, etc. All this underlines the folly of riches. The church is not anymore effective in the gospel way, mainly because of its entanglement with money and riches. Sisters, can we say, I am 100% clean with regard to money? Very big question mark. We have made a vow. We have made a conscious decision. We said to God, God, I will be poor like you. Jesus, I want to follow your poverty. I became voluntarily poor. I openly told in public. But today what's happening? Almost every member in the province, every member in the community handling money without the permission. Like Peter and John, the church need not say, we have neither money nor gold. Neither she can say, in the name of God, Jesus, rise up and walk. So Peter and John, that time they were able to say, we have neither silver nor gold. But today, can we say, we don't have anything? We cannot say, get up and walk in the name of Jesus. We have lost that power because money has become the power. The church of the poor is for the poor. This is a wonderful term you must have heard. Pope Francis told, re-echoed the voice heard in the Vatican II, lost its place in the Vatican document. Pope John 23rd had a dream that this church should become the church of the poor, not the church of the elite, not the church of the moneyed people, not the church of the people who are scandalously rich. The present Pope has embarked on urgent economic reform at the Vatican and wants that the church at large should be accountable and transparent with regard to money matters. Can we say that our province is transparent, our community is transparent, our personal life is transparent? Very big question. Pope Francis decries the globalization as an idolatry of money and wants it would lead to a new tyranny. Poor people have been waiting long time for the rich man's glass to overflow, but instead all that seems to happen is that the rich keeps go on reaching, their glass becomes larger and larger. Why should we be poor? Why should we make vow of evangelical poverty? Are we not glorifying the evil of poverty? This is the answer. We follow Jesus who is poor. Jesus is the eternal poor man because becoming rich entails that no one has more than what he requires and anything excess belongs to someone who is in need. All that you have at present does not belong to you, but it belongs to a person who is really in need of it. There are so many things in your room that you are not used for past 6 months. Please give it away. If you have managed 6 months without touching many things, you can very well manage the rest of the world. Who said this? Rest of the life. Who said this? The famous theologian Karl Rahner says when he speaks about poverty, a Jesuit theologian. The world has got enough and more to meet the need of every person, but it does not have enough to meet the greed of any person, even one person. This is what Gandhi said. Greedy religious, greedy men and women who have entered into the fold of religious life and they're living with money. More, grabbing, lying, collecting money, collecting power, all those things are happening. Jesus is not advocating destitution, rather aware of need for means of transaction. World resources are vast but not unlimited. Nature has enough and more for everyone's need, not for anyone's greed. The spirit of poverty does not consist in pursuing misery, but in setting everyone's beauty of creation. The spirit of poverty is to live in the gladness of today. This is in the Franciscan rule. Dear sisters, now remember what all things are happening during these days of Corona lockdown. Because of Corona, many things are not spent. We didn't need to spend so much money. We're going on adding. How many sisters, how many priests going to the market, up and down, getting things. Now what happened? We can very well manage without marketing. Marketing, go for essential things. Yes, we are doing that today. We are not dying. But so much of our money all over the world has been lavishly spent for unnecessary things. Today we have learned that many things that we used to spend are not at all necessary. Extravagance has become essential today. Very big shame. Cloth shop, malls, supermarket, everywhere crowd. Buses, trains, everything full. Going on traveling up and down. But today, everyone is sitting quietly. For anything, everything, go to hospital. Go to hospital, what happened? To become sick, further sick and die away. Yes, they have found out, research, they have found out, not many people go to hospital these days. Not many people die these days. Yes, we have an inbuilt power to remain alive as long as we want. Today, it's a medical line has made us sick. Medical people, they have found out 40% of the people, Americans, die of the wrong medicines because of the medical personnel. And today we can say in India, most probably more than 60% of the people die because of the hospitals, because of the medical people. I'm not blaming our sisters, because wherever I have seen, our religious sisters are doing marvelous things because they are not having a lot of multi-specialty things. They don't have big money, they don't have big machines, but they are really catering to the poorest people and the needy people. Marvelous. It's a marvelous thing. And some congregations, sisters congregations are really doing marvelous, really great in this age of specialization, in this age of multi-specialty hospitals. We need to rethink about our life. The spirit of poverty has to have some element of the material poverty also. We cannot say I'm spiritually poor but materially having everything. This is like everybody speaks about the poverty, how to eradicate poverty by staying in a 5-star hotel, air-conditioned room. This is anomaly. This is what religious people speak about poverty. I'm joining with you also. I'm also not poor, not voluntarily poor. There's so much of things not okay with me also. This is a very big shame. Without material dimension to our spirit of poverty, it would be a farce, an imagination. It's only a dream. A poverty that does not pinch is not poverty at all. That's what Mother Teresa has told. St. Ambrose of Milan, he says, if you are rich, surrounded by poor people, then you must have robbed them. Or your father must have been a thief. Or your grandfather must have been a cheat. Only then you can be rich, when all people surrounded by you are poor. Dear sisters, in this world, it's a shameful to tell that I am rich, because money of the richest people, money of the richest man belongs to the people. It's a public money. Therefore, earlier the government took the money from the rich and gave it to the poor people. But today it's different. Today it is taking the money of the poor and feeds the rich. Today, you know what's really happening to multimillionaires of our country, all the billionaires of our country. Most of them are cheats, and they have robbed the people's money, and they are thriving on the poor people. All that you have is not yours, but all that you have given away is yours. If you want to fly freely like a bird in the sky, then do not carry anything with you. Some religious people start grab the money directly or indirectly, grab the money-centered posts and positions, procuratorship, superiorship, principles of matriculation schools. These are the cultures of today's religious life. Very, very shameful. We are coming far away from God, Jesus, who is suffering. This cry of the poor, where Jesus is found. They know the techniques. These sisters, these priests know how to enter into the money culture. They know the techniques. They lobby for this. They campaign for this. During the election in the province, during the selection of the communities, they always fight to get the post. They want to be in the cities. They don't want to go to the rural places. They are not going to places like Africa, the jungle, with the poor people, with the tribal area, with the Dalit people, with the migrant people. No, we want a secure place, comfortable place. These are the curse of religious life, religious congregation. It's a shameless to be such a religious today. In India, the superiors or the major superiors posts or the bishops, etc., are all looked at as a life of not as a life of service or sacrifice, not as a prophetic witness to the poor and the prophetic Christ who had to die for his principles or the reign of God, but ultimately ultimately humiliated himself on the cross and died as an utter failure, Jesus Christ, for the will of God. But it is looked at as a political power. Today, the leadership, superiorship, the major superiorship is looked at as a political power, an economic power, as a judgment seat against mercy and compassion. It's a post that brings rich friends around. That which keeps him and keeps her far away from the poorest of the poor and the marginalized. This leads to arrogance, authority. This is a painful situation. The fact this is a cursed lifestyle, ultimately we stand against God. Daridra Narayan is a new concept. It's not a new concept. One of the names for God is Daridra Narayan. What does it mean? God is poor. God is in the form of a poor person. Not only that God is poor, the other side is more important. That is, the poor is God. Sisters, you come across God in the poor, but that particular poor in the remote village, in the slum, they are all gods there. Never forget, God, the poor is God. Never forget this. Every true religious takes up the life of voluntary poverty, but today the religious person is looked at as a socio-economic power and authority. He or she is far away from the poor, humble, crucified Jesus. This is a curse. It's a painful shame for a religious person. Money is the worst enemy of a religious. It kills you. It corrodes you to the fullest. It gives you independence, which means the lack of providence of God. If their poverty leads to such bad shape with the contrary, what would be the status of their chastity? People ask. They're taken over poverty, but see how lavishly they spend. If the poverty is broken like this, how will they live and break their vow of chastity also? Arrogance, authoritarian lifestyle, these things are dominant today. It is seen at least in the lifestyle. Such religious are everywhere, like the corona killing God publicly. It is like corona culture, killing silently. Among all the vows, it is poverty of life, poverty of choices, proves to the world that you are of God and that you witness to God. It is possible, dear sisters, to live differently than what you are living today now. Remember the gospel Jesus, the mother of Jesus, the spirituality of your own founder and founders, the charism of your congregation, the chapter decrees. All this speaks again and again. Let us be poor. Let us go back to the charism. Let us be concerned about the poorest of the poor. Let us go to the marginalized people. Today, it's all only in the empty words. The very purpose of our apostolate is the poor as the center of our life. All these have one thing clear. We are all called to follow Jesus Christ, the poor, to serve the poorest of the poor through our apostolate. A religious who is not close to the poor is a counter witness. It's better for him or better for her not to join the religious congregation at all. Real poverty involves deprivation of conveniences, opportunities, recognition, and basic needs. We have one father, John Peter, at present he is a servant of God. He died when I joined after 3-4 years of my joining. Very, very holy priest. He died as a young priest, and all his companions are still with us. And he told that when there was a water tap was oozing out drop by drop, and then said, brothers, please close the door, close the tap. We said, sir, yes, Father, it's all closed. But he said, no, no, the drop, he said, drops are falling. You just see that it's closed nicely. Then we said, we are small boys, just joined the first year. We said, Father, that's only little drops only, Father. It's going to the plant. I know what he said. Dear brothers, it is not water. The waste water is not water. It is the blood of the poor man. Don't waste it. My God, that was a shock of my life. He said, every drop of water that you waste is blood of the poor man. Don't waste it. You are answerable. And I was giving a training in the southern Italy when some years before, maybe some 20 years before. I was to give a seminar to this people who are the justice peace coordinators of all the provinces, 24 provinces in Italy. We have the capuchins. Then all the priests went, and I was there for just because my train was the next day. At that time, this the father asked me to come for the recreation. Oh, Father, if you want, you can join for the recreation. There are 4 or 5 boys were there, all tall, hefty people, and they all maybe in their 30s like that. And one is a civil engineer, another one is an electronic expert, one is electric engineer. I don't know. Oh, they all just became most of the fellows are engineers. All these people who have worked in the world, they are well off. They resigned their job. They left everything. They came and joined. These are the novices. 5 or 6 novices, I think, they were there. And then there's an old priest who was a novice master, the long beard, white beard. And then there was evening prayer. I went for the prayer. Then afterwards there was meditation. And afterwards we went for supper. After supper we went for the recreation for half an hour. Then we had a nice recreation, a lot of fun. Then at the end of the prayer, at the end of the recreation, we were going to start the prayer, night prayer. That time the father was telling, dear brothers, I want to just remind you one thing. Then they were all looking, I was also looking. He said, see that during that meditation time, after the evening prayer, during the meditation, don't need a bulb, no? Yes, Father, we don't need bulb. Yes, but I see some bulbs are burning. Then the electric engineer, I think, he was telling, yes, Father, this one bulb is one bulb is burning, a small bulb is burning near the door. Then he said, the noise master, put it off, brothers. Why to waste the current? We are in meditation, we don't need a light at that time. Then the electric engineer, he was telling, no, Father, it's only 0 watts bulb. There's not much electricity, it's only a light. He said, the noise master said, oh, is it, brother? That means the bulb can burn without getting electricity. That means it doesn't have any electricity. Then he said, no, it spends very little current. 0.05% of current only goes, very insignificant. Then the noise master said, brother, that is current. That is electricity. We cannot waste that. It is the poor man. We are answerable to the poor people who are supporting us. That light we don't need. Put it off. Anything that does not need, that needs extra spending, no, put it off. That was for me another shock. My God, what a clarity about voluntary poverty. Voluntary poverty also depicted in the economic poverty, the use of things. Now we know how far we value things. There will not be anybody, fan will be running. There will not be anybody. The children, today's children generation, they put off, it's very cold, but they'll put on the fan. Fan has to run. For what? Nobody knows why. Light will be burning everywhere. So this is a very important. Real poor person experience on a daily basis scarcity, want, inconvenience, hunger, insecurity, lack of basic needs, insufficiency. These are the symbols of a poor person. Whether you are a religious poverty or a natural poverty, there is a lot of deprivations. The cry of the poor man is the beginning of wisdom. Therefore, sisters, you find whether are we participating in any of this? Beware of the unjust mammon, says God, Jesus. Riches to take care of ourselves. When we begin to take care of riches, riches become a mammon and a demand unjust things. We need enough means of transaction to take care of our needs. But the problem is to determine how much is enough. How much is enough? This is not enough, that is not enough, this is not enough. This is how we train our. Who is a rich man today? Not one who has got plenty, rather one who can manage with the minimum. Today, this is a very big question. Are we able to manage with the minimum? When I see certain things, can you say, can I manage without this? Yes, many of the things we can manage. Now, because of this corona days, we are able to manage many things without spending. Why don't we live a simple life like this all over the world? The carbon dioxide is less, the wastage is less, the death is less, the sickness is less, the unnecessary spending is less. Therefore, it's a question of enough, the culture of enough that is needed. No one who feels enough and one who wants nothing more. Abdul Kalam walked out of his presidential palace with just a simple suitcase when his term of office ended. He is remembered for his simplicity and practical wisdom. Today, when a sister is transferred, when a priest is transferred, one lorry has to go behind. No, this is a questionable thing. John Wesley managed with the same $90 when he was drawing more than $10,000 per month. $90 is enough for me, I can manage. The pocket money, oh, not enough, not enough, not enough. But we have proved that we can live a simple, poor life. It's a questionable. How much is enough? How much is not enough? Question yourself. Evangelical poverty entails our responsibility to alleviate world poverty also. World poverty is to be overcome. Evangelical poverty, voluntarily chosen, is to be retained. St. Clare, the great saint, who said the privilege of poverty from Pope Innocent III, and fought tooth and nail till she got it. And she died only after receiving this special privilege of being poor. Remember, sisters, once I went to Mangalore, to an adoration monastery, but the Mother Superior I know in Kotagiri, I went and met her. She said, "Dear Father, remember, poverty is our birthright. Voluntary poverty is our birthright. Remember, sister, for a religious person, poverty is a birthright. No one can force me to have this, that, this, and that." Evangelical poverty requires of us to be for the poor, to be with the poor, to be like the poor, and ultimately to be poor. You must have heard about democratic life. What is democracy? For the people, by the people, of the people. Today, what is religious life? For the people, away from the people. F-A-R, not F-O-R. For the people. By the people, buying, B-U-Y, not by the people. B-U-Y, by the people. And also then, for the people, by the people, of the people. People of, O-double-F, not O-F, O-double-F. So therefore, it does not stop with the option for the poor, but we need to opt to be poor, voluntarily poor. That has been our vow in public to the Jesus who called us. The poor will not forgive us the good that we do to them if we do not love them, Vincent de Paul said. Voluntary poverty must enable me to do few things. What is the first one? Realize the givenness of life and the gratuitous of Creator. Second, free me from the disastrous effect of original sin. What is the sin? Sin to have, to possess, to dominate, to make us secure. 3. Free me from trusting unduly the power of riches. We always believe in the powerful people, rich people, ambitious people, most of them are corrupt people. We always like to be friendly with these people. 4th point, to leave me to follow the law radically and to tie us closely to Him. 5th one, to free me for the people, to recognize in them the need and to do something about their suffering and poverty. 6th one, give us the freedom to part with the riches in favor of someone's need and transform us in contributing a person. Economic poverty frees evangelical poverty frees us from judging people and treating people by what they have. Voluntary poverty, voluntarily chosen, liberates one from obsession to secure oneself and to free one from the danger of treating people according to what they have. Voluntary poverty helps us to respect every person in the same way, to grow in love for them. This Gandhi says. It makes us to believe that as unjust mammon, riches demand unjust life, like disrespecting the human person, devaluing relationship and prompting. We know how we treat rich people and the poor people. Next one, disbelieving certain myths about the poor, poverty and riches. What are the myths we have? We have the myth that is, poor are the scum of the earth, non-taxpayers, they're criminals, they're consumers, they're irresponsible citizens, they're lazy. If anybody speaks like this in your religious life, send her away from the community. She is really a part and parcel of these people who cheat others. Second, poor people will always be there. Therefore, we need not bother about them. This is typical of the mindset of this Judas. Poor people always be there. So what? You have to be there. You have to be with them. 3. Money can do anything. With money, we can do everything. Yes, this is how religious people believe. We believe in money, not in God. So money can do everything. With money, we can buy anything. We can have anything. Yes, go, get out. Why are you remaining inside? This is meant for people who believe in God, who want God with them, who want to be the Daridra Narayan, the poor with them. It is not meant for rich people and those are searching for riches. 4th one, the more you have, the more you lose your self-worth. Norms to be followed when procuring things. Dear sisters, remember, reduce your wants. Refuse what you don't need, just refuse. Reuse, whatever can be reused, reuse. Use and throw, that is no more a culture for religious people. 4th, recycle. You see, so many things in your life can be recycled. The paper one side, second paper, use it for printing. Simple way, simple method. You cannot throw it out. We used, our forefathers used, our people at home, they use, they reduce, they refuse, they reuse, they recycle. But we don't. Compare your needs with that of Jesus and apostles. Your founders. If your founder were to be here, will they select this type of life that you are leading today? Will they live in such a life that you are living in your room? So follow the ratio 7:10. Do not ask, do I need this? Rather ask, can I manage without this? Ask, what good is it going to bring for a concrete poor person locally? That is the symptom. Whatever you decide, see whether this decision is tallying with the poor man's craving, trying for a lifestyle, decent basic life. Certain models of poverty. Community sharing. Simplicity of life, not claiming more than what one needs. The ability to be available for others. That's a very clear model of poverty. Simplify your life. Share the community. Don't keep yourself. Whatever you have belongs to the community. Keep yourself available for the community. They need you. They need your service. They need a part of your life. Don't say, I'm a principal of this college, therefore I don't have time. No, go for washing toilet first. Then you'll be a very good principal. If you are a procurator of the whole community, of procreate everything, don't touch money. Look at the money as a devil's done. Then you will be clear about it. Your hand will be clean. 4th one, visible witness. Avoid extravagance. You see the way we celebrate the festivals and other things. Going on adding. Only pigs can eat too many things. But we go on spending extravagance. No, we are answerable to the people outside. We are answerable to the people who sustain us. The building that you are sitting here, it is not the rich man's, it's a poor man's, poor woman's money it has come inside. Maybe through your congregation, through your general aid. But it's all, every building you go, every floor that you touch, these are all sufferings of the poor people we are enjoying. Remember this always. Work like a poor person longer time, not skipping the work, losing means of living. Sisters, our work, manual labor is very important. Mental labor is okay, but you need some time. cleaning your room, cleaning the corridor, cleaning the toilet, washing the cloth in hand. All these things have a lot to do with your genuine spirituality. There are people you must have come across elderly people do this job. Yes, not that's for fun, not for show, but they believe in values. Cultivate trust in God's providence. That's the sixth point. This is the RR principles of Brother Company. The Brother Company, the famous IT company, they have this point which we can use. Refuse, reduce, reuse, reform, repurpose, recycle. So purpose, one purpose is that almost in everyone South India we have this particular thing, but in religious life it's slowly getting forgotten. Maybe the younger generations are not accustomed for this kind of things, but still we have to go back, we have to relive. We cannot just throw away culture, we cannot be part of throwaway culture. Love has a price to pay. Accept with patience and serenity the sufferings, trials and humiliations, aware that all the events can be bearers of the grace of God. Dear sisters, we are originally coming here to witness the prophetic Jesus who underwent lot of penitential life all through his life, lot of rejection because he was a poor man. So develop a taste for simple things, for sharing goods. They are material or they are spiritual. So especially the poor and the needy. Keep the poorest of the poor under your top priority. Great care to be taken to see that all the fraternities and vogues, the poorest are always get their priority. Abundance of voluntary poverty. Abundance begets indifference. Riches serve the wise man, but it commands a fool. We have religious attitude towards money and minority attitude towards religious life. We adore money, but we think in terms of money. You can sell God, but remember, you cannot buy God. A British newspaper tried to find out the best definition of money by having a competition. The award winning was, it is like that. Money is something that you can buy anything in the world except happiness. Dear sisters, if you want to be a happy religious, be poor. Voluntarily poor. Love to be poor. Love the poor people. So money can buy a ticket to anywhere in the world except heaven. We collect things and money because our hearts are empty. If everyone took only what one needed and gave the rest to those in need, there would be no such thing as rich or poor in the world. Everyone will be having what is needed for them. After all, did not you come into life naked? And you won't return back to the earth naked? Don't you remember this? Why this grabbing mentality? Why adding things? Why demanding things? The world has got enough and more to meet the needs of all persons, but it does not have enough to meet the greed of even one person. After a rich man gets rich, his next ambition is to become richer. Priests and nuns are the most secured people in the world. Regarding money, there are three things: responsibility, accountability, penalty that follows. Everybody listens when money speaks. More flesh, more weakness. More money, more sin. Remember, more flesh, more weakness. More money, more sin. What you are is enough, and what you have is enough. This is Zen mantra. Remember, what you are is enough. I am what I am is enough. What I have is enough for me. I don't need anything more. Very few people say that I don't need. I don't need. I am an important, lovable, useful human being that people like me show their affection and enjoy my presence. Poverty of the spirit. Though he was rich, he emptied himself and became a slave. Poverty is freedom, so that possessions don't keep us from sharing and giving of ourselves. So Mother Teresa told. If you want to be like happy and fly like a bird, do not carry anything. You will be freed. You will be happy. Prophetic living of the vow of poverty is emptying ourselves from everything. In poverty, we proclaim that God is our only real treasure. Our over poverty is imitation of Jesus Christ, the incarnate Word, who for the first moment of his existence to the last moment lived poor and died poor till the last breath. The love of poverty is an attitude and action founded on love. Like love, vowed poverty does indeed dispossession of itself, holding nothing back from the beloved. However, poverty is not only to give everything away, but it is to receive. It is to receive gratefully the gift of God Himself in Jesus Christ. It's a loving response, a grateful response of love, letting go into the hands of love. Poverty is not an idea, but our very expression of religious life. Dear sisters, people degrade and are ashamed of religious person speaking of comfort, aspiring for luxury, power and position, etc. Only the poor Jesus could give us redemption. He believes that you can be like him. Start, sister. Start. Love being poor. If not you, who else will become poor? If not now, when are you going to become poor? Start. Change your life. Believe in the gospel. Believe in Jesus Christ. God bless you. Now, take your time and take the paper that is connected to the vow of poverty. There's a lot to speak, and just go through line by line. In every line, just spend some time. Take some 5 to 10 minutes here itself. You continue to sit here, read, reflect, write it down. Then you can also go for coffee break and continue this meditation, sisters. Thank you so much. God bless you.